First of all, I want to thank you very much for inviting me to be here. It's an honor for me being part of the community of Data Science Doho, and I really enjoyed this invitation. And I hope you all enjoyed today my session, as I'm going to enjoy it also today. And so before we start, although we have talked a little bit about myself, and you could see, of course, my name on the agenda, on the presentation, and on the invitation. My name is Camila Manera. I work as a Chief Data and Product Officer. I have more than 10 years of experience in decision making mainly and strategy for large organizations worldwide. One of those companies is the Walt Disney Company. And I miss and I love and I work on the mixing of different disciplines such as design, creativity, user experience, data science, and artificial intelligence. And I work mainly also in the cultural transformation. As Nathan presented me today, I am also a Woman Tech Maker Ambassador for Google. And in a few words, to represent myself, I love creativity and technology. That they are definitely my two passions. We are going to start with today's discussion and the presentation, and what I want you to take today from this call is that we all know, I think we are all here, we are all working in data science or in data teams, in data projects. We all know the importance of data analysis, and of course that it's a critical tool for business and of course for organizations, no matter the size of the business and the structure, what's happening within their systems, and what information they can provide and add value for us, of course, with insights into how we can improve operations and make better decisions day by day. However, of course, having the chance to process and make analysis with all these big databases give us more complexity of how we can create impacts, no? And this is where I would love to bring the topic of storytelling data that comes into place. Because mainly in the last few years, and I think more like the last 3 years, our society has seen an incredible amount of change, from the way how we talk, to how we do business, to what we expect from our institutions. It's been exciting to see such rapid advancement in technology, but it isn't always easy for everyone to adapt. Mainly because of its scale, its scope and complexity. The transformation we are going through, it's been unlikely anything humankind have ever experienced before. Although we are very used to changes and evolution, I think that nowadays we are living in a very special moment of humankind. We do not know yet how it's going to develop, but I think that one point is quite clear. The response of this transformation we are all living because of data, technology, and AI is the response of the transformation that must be comprehensive and integrated, involving all stakeholders from public and from private sectors. The union makes theirs the force. Of course, that understanding that we are living in a constant change, it's very challenging. And we are working and definitely living that moment as humans, of course. That's why I would love to bring to you the phrase from Benjamin Franklin to the discussion, and also because we are going to talk about storytelling. When we are leaders in a business, in a company, in a community, in a project, in a family, we are responsible for preparing ourselves, our teams, our dear ones. We must set goals beforehand, and of course, because if not, it's much harder to succeed. Our goal is to become successful, and thinking about storytelling when we talk about data is one of the things that would make us prepare us in the best way. Every time we are talking about this. So that's why I would love to bring today, and I'm going to share back also later a video, because here it's also a link of a small video. I will love to talk about Airbnb enterprise case, no, because I think it's an amazing success of storytelling story. I think mainly this is because, of course, we are talking about a brand specifically here, um, because they make it very simple. No, they have make a brand that connects very different and very connected touch points. Um, and they have been very like straightforward in what they want to transmit. They talk about people, places, love, and Airbnb. I think that here, no, in this evolution, in this transformation, in this moment that we are living, the ones that understand how to make big impact are the ones who are going to make the difference. Of course, now we are discussing specifically about a brand, and I will share later this video that I think it's the amazing of the company, and also the campaign of the new rebranding of Airbnb. But I think the discussion here is think about your day by day, how you can create impact with stories in everything that you are working, developing. I think that there it's the key. So we are not here to discuss the impact or data or artificial intelligence. I assume we all know the power of information and what we can create regarding data. But yes, what I would love is that when you're planning a roadmap, a project, a company, a team, I think that it's very important to understand and take into considerations the importance of storytelling in this journey. When you bring it into discussion and you see there and you understand the power and the importance of that, you're going to use it even more on your workflow and your roadmaps that you're building. It all starts always with, or mainly most of the time, with a business problem, but it must end with how we can tell that story with the data that we have. So that's why it's very important to think about the roadmap and put that in mind in order to understand it and have it inside you in order to use it, of course, and take the most advantage of it. And this is mainly because we must set, of course, goals beforehand or plan ahead, because if not, it's much harder to succeed, as we have talked before. Not impossible, but more complex. If our goal is to become successful, most of the time it comes from determination. Successful companies have short, medium, and long-term goals. Data is one of the key elements in this algorithm age that we are living. So how can we build a data-driven organization? That's a frequently question that we can listen, that we can hear from our leaders and from our institutions. But I love to focus that in order to deploy good tech and good information, we have to work on the culture. For achieving these goals, being prepared, it's a key advantage. So I think here we are doing that. We are preparing, understanding the importance of how we can incorporate storytelling in our day by day, in our projects, in our company. We are definitely understanding the importance of thinking and go in advance in these type of projects. So being prepared as we can in order to help our company transform because of the AI impact, it's essential to keep in mind what we had mentioned before, the human side of transformation and how and what or why it's our role in that process, what we can do and how we can also focus and give more tools in order to develop this kind of strategy. So that's why I would love to share with you the build, measure, learn feedback loop process that it's presented by Eric Rice. The framework can change a little bit, but it's quite always the same, no? That's why I would love to share with you more also a little bit about my experience. I have the fortune of being part of the process of thinking, planning, implementing an AI project in a company that has more than 100 years of history, and now plan and implement another project with a startup that has less than some years. It's amazing to start seeing that all the companies, although they have very different scenarios, pass through the same kind of journey, no matter the sign of the business and employees. The framework most of the time looks the same, no? And you can use, of course, this plan in any project that you are thinking and working on. So let's put all these concepts into practice. As we were taking, no, and talking through how it's important to work and build and think about a data-driven organization and how we can create really impact. Because we are not going to be or achieve all the impact that we want if we not start thinking and introducing the concept of storytelling. Transforming our companies into a data-driven organization takes more than technology. So that's why we also talk about storytelling. Since the change requires like new skill sets, processes, and behaviors to support the deployment of a self-service analytic solution, executives also plays a critical role in advocating and orchestrating that change. So why we focus so much in this culture? Because mainly faster access to data give us stronger analytics capabilities. It's a key element in order to unlock that really power of the data and obtain the most advantage of data science teams as we can. So that's what I would love to bring to you. It's the most, what I like the most about data and how we can use it in order to drive insights and business decisions. I think that one of the most interesting things that we have about data is that it's data tells us things we didn't know that they were there. There are things new that we can use in our benefits and also use it. Each break has preconcepts. Changing is not easy, and most if we have like done the same things for the last like 20 years, it's not easy to change. So data gives us this empowerment of that. So the interesting thing about data is that you come with a preconcept of an idea, and the data shows you something new, something you didn't know that you can use it. Of course, that it empowers us, it gives us courage, it helps sometimes take decisions that previously were very hard to carry on. And it's not right that data beats experience, but data without experience and business knowledge is not possible. The best deal here is to add data and experience, that I think that it's everything. And understanding the differentiation between correlation and causality, try to avoid to create analysis looking for what you're going to find in your data warehouse. It's important to have always the business or project questions, understanding the need, what the teams are needing. I think it's 90% of the value of the projects. If not, you're going to be mounted in discovery sessions and really hard times, And of course, it breaks us with confirmation bias, Although we are talking about some AI biases, although this nowadays. So that's why today's like center topic is storytelling, because in order to create impact with the data and all this like amazing stuff that we have developed and debating, we must consider how we're gonna to explain our amazing analysis that we have done. It's incredible, the results that we can have from data. It's something that can help us in any way, But the most powerful of this is when we tell stories with it. Having the chance of translating the data analysis into layman's term in order to generate the influence that we really want into business decisions or actions, it's definitely a mission critical skill, because if not, most of the time the incredible analyses are not going to be used, and that is definitely something that we don't want to go forward and have that. We can run brilliant analysis on our data, But if we can explain our results, we are not adding any value to our organizations and mainly to also to our team. So that's definitely something that we have to work on. So perhaps sometimes our problem is that we focus so much on the understanding, the data part of the process, that is like the point of the iceberg and just one phase. And perhaps sometimes I like to call like the 50% of the value of the data that we are doing. But after, and later, and the other part of this is that also we can't forget about the narrative approach and effective visualization. It's crucial in order to success in this overwhelmed data chaos that we live. We are listening that day by day, we are having more amounts of data, more data sources, more information that we are connecting. So that's great. But if we don't focus on all the points of the iceberg, it's very difficult for us to achieve the goals and what we are trying to do. So here I want also to bring a little bit about our brain, because here it's not just that we are fans of storytelling data and that's it, but definitely there's a lot of science behind how storytelling affects our brain and connects also with our emotions. There's a lot of evidence based on research that show us the effects of storytelling has proven substantial impacts on our brains, and it's vital to the conversion process of it. It is the most effective way to stimulate the sensory cortex of our cells, and a special class of mirror neurons in our brains, causing lasting change when reinforcement through repetition. Stories are the roots of our ability to communicate and understand what's going on around us. They are very powerful devices and effects on our memory and understanding when we talk with storytelling. It's proven that it's improved, for example, a child overall mental development, as well as narrative recall, problem solving, literacy, abstract thinking, self-regulation, and linguistic abilities also. So I want to bring you 4 topics here to discuss. 4 parts of the brain that help us in this storytelling part of the process. So first of all, we have the neural coupling. That is a phenomenon in which listens the brain activity mirrors that are on the of the storytelling's brain. The greater the neural coupling, the greater the listener's understanding. We have the mirroring, that listeners will not only experience similar brain activity to each other, but also to the speaker. We have the dopamine also, that is when the brain experiences an emotional charge event, it releases a chemical, that it's called the dopamine, which helps to regulate memory. And when we have an emotional investment in learning, such as through storytelling, dopamine is being released and help us remember what we hear. That is one of the key elements here, because with that remembering of that we are listening, it's the way we can after give and develop feedback and actions, what we are hearing. And last but not least, we have the cortex activity, that when processing facts, only 2 areas of the brain are activity. When we processing a story, many areas can be activated and engaged, including sensory, motor, and frontal cortex also. So that's why when we talk about storytelling, it's mainly because how also our brain starts to seeing and thinking about everything that we are giving, that we are sharing, and how it makes a connection and emotion. And I bring here again the Airbnb use case that we have mentioned before. So I want to give here some takeaways, some learnings. We can say that also. When we want and try to think and incorporate storytelling in our narrative, when we are working with data and analysis. So first of all, and of course, how we can make data useful. First of all, we need to define a purpose. Have a clear purpose, objective, and priorities of the reports that we want to achieve. It makes us more useful results, and without wasting time on visuals that are not significant. When we have definitely that mindset, it's much easier for us to understand what's the purpose and the final objective of what we are doing. It will help us to ask ourselves, and this is a question we can use every time, is what is the question that users will answer when consulting this report? What I want to build, what I want to develop. Every time I do something and I deliver something, I have to think about this, because the purpose defines, of course, the whole experience that we are going to give. And here we go to the other part. Who is the final user? We will obtain better interpretation and understanding results if we know who they are, what they are looking for, why, for what, how familiar they are with data. Because if we don't have the purpose, if we don't understand these final users, we also are going to not have the chance to create the impact that we have. And without the tools, having storytelling is much difficult to implement. And of course, identify the data, investigate the type of data which you work to define the best way to represent it, and avoid malinterpretation or user frustration, and understanding, how are the best way to show, of course, this data, having the purpose, understanding the user, and of course, understanding our data and how and what is the best way that we can use it. And why we talk a lot about storytelling, why we focus so much in this part on the process, because mainly I think that our data science team, statistics team are the ones that should and could be the teams who inspire all these data skills around in every company, every business, and every structure. And this is also mainly because if we have the chance to really understand them, give them an analysis that can create impact, all the teams would have the chance to focus much more in having new directions for the business, reduce risk of setting important decisions, of course, make automatizations through ML and AI, and my favorite part that make data useful, because if we have the data and we do not give results and we don't give actionables with that, all the analysis and all the work that we have done through there is not going to be used. So that's why I love to think about this 50-50, because it's the perfect unification when we do something that we have in the mind that we want to create and give value. It's the key elements of making like this perfect team work together. So I think that the impact of AI, of data, of storytelling, it's a fact. Now, in every business, I think that if we have the chance to anticipate, and start working on this transformation, we're going to be much prepared. As we have talked before, here in these spaces, when we debate, when we discuss, and we bring storytelling into the discussion, we are being part of that anticipation and working on that transformation, because we are seeing that the amounts of data that we are having every month, every year are more and more. But what we are going to do with that data, it's one of the most important questions here that we have to develop and debate. So it's why we have to take this type of activities into consideration, and also with the responsibility, because it's going to help us to be much prepared in this new transformation era that we are working on. So one of the most clear statements is that data and AI brings now that everything is possible, or things that not far away, like 4 years ago, were impossible to dream about. Now there are things that we use every day. So how we can do our support, add our value, help on this transformation, just depend on us, on what we do, how is our responsible, and how care we take to real generate impact in everything that we are doing. So that's why these are my favorite words nowadays. I think that if we have the chance to incorporate all these tools, being a good listener, being creative, having an analytic mindset, being a problem solver, because when we work with analysis, we are solving problems every time, understanding the impact of storytelling and becoming a business partners. I think that's the value with data that we can do. It's impossible to dream about. And I think that we can create an excellent business, no? When we make a combination, the perfect combination between AI, people, transformation, and stories. I think that it's there when we become stoppable, and our companies, our projects, our teams really becomes unstoppable and have no limits. No, there is where we have to make a combination. We have to think about things perhaps we weren't dreaming about. Perhaps you are listening here and you say, okay, I'm a statistical person, I'm a mathematical person. Why I have to tell story with it? Because we want to create impact. We want to have that our analysis have an impact in something, and understanding that we have to think about our final users is the thing that is going to differentiate our work from the rest of the teams and the communities. So in this algorithm age that we are living, I think that having a good plan and understanding of how to unlock that power of data is what is going to make us more valuable than ever before. So here you have my contact. Also, I know that Nathan has also shared my LinkedIn profile, but I am here for you. If you have any question, if you have something, I know we have now a Q&A session, but please feel free to contact and ask for anything. I would love to respond any question that you have, and I hope you enjoy this session today. I really enjoy it, and I hope you too.
Thank you, Camilla. And just a reminder, if anybody has any questions, use that Q&A tab for me. Helps keep everything organized. So before and while I'm going to give people a chance to ask questions. So I just want to mention that tomorrow we were supposed to have another webinar. The topic was Topology for Time series with Colleen Fairley. Unfortunately, there's a hurricane coming. So we've been talking to Colleen. She's safe, she's okay, but she's expecting to probably lose power. And so we thought it best to just move the webinar to next week. So if you have signed up for that webinar, we sent out an email this morning and also I think a couple social posts, but we did move it because of a hurricane. So just thought that was best. Okay, so does anybody have any questions? I don't see any in the Q&A tab, and I will burn through the chat really quick to see if there are any. A lot of people telling you that you did a very nice job, Camilla. So thank you, everyone.
Perhaps the storytelling was so good that now anybody has questions, but of course that if there's anything else you want to discuss, you have any doubt about what we have discussed, I would be very glad to respond to that also.
Perfect. So this is from Anita. What would you say for a beginner? What is the one tip that you would give?
Excellent question, and I think it brings a lot of things. Of course, I could also share later some podcasts, some also books about storytelling. But I think that when you want to use this like framework in your day by day, I will bring again the three takeaways that I shared today. That it's having the chance to understand the purpose, no, understand the final users, understand what goal you want to define there, and also starting to incorporate other tools more like from the creative world, um, like understanding color palettes, understanding typography, what color for what, how we can translate that into presentations. I think that with all that information, you're going to have a lot of like places where you have want to start and look for. And I think that the first and the most important starting point here is having the curiosity. No, when you say, okay, I want to start, like I have this project, I have this analysis that I want to do, I want to incorporate storytelling. That is the starting point for everything, because you are going to just start seeing all the things that we have debated today, and we can discuss that later. You can tell me that, but I think you're going to see all the things you have nearby you, and of course use it for improve the way you talk and you share the data with others.
Okay, great. And what challenges do you like typically face while crafting stories with data?
Yes, I think that one of the biggest challenge that I have to when I have to introduce storytelling to the data is the time. It's the rush, no? Because I am not gonna to deny that when you put this into your roadmap, into your framework, you need more time because you are destinated more energy and time to improve that you're doing. So I think it's very important to make the leadership know, understand, and be on board on these practice and initiatives, because sometimes we receive something from one day to another one, and you can say me, okay, Cami, but how I can do this with storytelling because they asked me to. So I think that they're making and one of the biggest challenges is to have leadership on board, because once they understand how we can improve this, perhaps it's better to have more time to designate to this, and we can also change and think about how we can introduce this to our frameworks. But I think that the challenge is there, making leaders understand the importance, no, of storytelling and how they can help us destinate time to that, and of course trying to not rush time with this kind of process.
And I'm muted. And I know there's a question about, will there be a recording? Yes, there will be a recording, and so it'll be on our Data Science Dojo's YouTube channel and as well as our website. Next question from Rich. What do you suggest for framing the storytelling? An example is, would you state the problem, effects of the problem, the solution, benefits, etc.? Is there any particular order that you would go in?
Yes, I think that there I would like bring again the build, measure, and scale like framework, because first of all, and as I mentioned also in the roadmap, understand the business problem and what pain we want to achieve with this data analysis, having that very defined and having a good conversation with stakeholders, understanding the problem, where it's their pain, where is the places that they want to change to do that. I think that is, of course, always like the starting point for that. But after that, I would go like the first stage, define a purpose. The second stage, understand that final user, what are they saying, if they have biases, if they are giving you all the information, if you have to go to other place to search that information that they are not doing. And last but not least, bringing all the creative resources that you can use in order to put all that together and create a good story with that. And of course, afterwards, like measure the impact and understand if with that that analysis that you have built, you have created impact, and if not, improve the second time.
So when you're giving your storytelling presentation, how can you address the question about data quality?
I think that it's one of the key statements, because sometimes we can hear that, okay, when you create stories with that, you are putting your own like biases on that information. Of course, the data quality side of part. So that's why I always like to make this 50-50 spread, because the first 50 part of the process is all the data quality, the data transformation, the data sources that we're having, of course, the data modeling that we are developing. Because if not, the other parts, the storytelling is not possible. We have to be very careful and very consistent in this part of the process. Once we have that, of course, we can go to the other part. But storytelling without data quality, it's not possible.
Okay. And next question. This is from Natalie. I know you mentioned preparation, and another part of that is iterating and feedback. How much feedback do you typically ask for and get on presenting your story before it's finalized? And does that incorporate team members, business partners, or anyone else?
Yes, definitely. I think all the stakeholders, I think that you understand you have done a very good job with storytelling when you receive feedback, because generally people use that report, that analysis, and if they don't go back again to you, it's because they don't have anything else to do. When you understand that you have made that impact and that connection with that person that you have gave the report, is when they come back and they say, okay, we can add this, we can change this, I want to do this. If I go to this data, I can have this more information. So I think that having the exercise of going forward, if they come to us, it's great to give us feedback, but if not, to all the stakeholders that we have to ask for constant feedback. If we cannot do it like every week, perhaps we can work in sprints. We can say, okay, these 2 weeks, but recoupling all this feedback, I think it's one of the key to this, because if not, we make the analysis and think that our job is done, but the reality that it's not. We have to understand if they use it, in what is the impact, and how it affects the final user of it, that perhaps is not the stakeholder that we are working on. No, how the business, the customers, the final users start seeing the real impact. I think that we have to be very careful in understanding all that process and not think that when we do like that part of the analysis, the job is done. We have much more to do and continue that. I think that is one of the keys in this journey.
Okay, and kind of a good follow-up question is from Anne. Do you define the purpose together with the stakeholders, or do you approach stakeholders with 1 or 2 suggestions that has been prepared in advance? Do you have a strategy to get decision makers and or stakeholders on board with your suggestions?
Yes, I love this question. I think that the purpose you have to develop together. I think that you have to work as a team on that, mainly, and also I bring the topic to be a good listener, because you have to have that meeting with the stakeholder to understand really what they want to do, how's the purpose, what's the final goal. I think that there you have to define it, the two of you. Of course, that you can suggest if you have more a clear state map. And I think that there are like brainstorming sessions and discussing about that are a very important part of the process. So yes, I think that it's a teamwork when you have to define a purpose.
And so this is from one of our live streams. This is from Habib. How can one develop a strategic mindset to make impact in storytelling?
I think that having, of course, a strategic mindset, it's part of what we are proposing here with storytelling. I think that understanding the importance of this just is a very good starting point. I think that mainly that when we understand the impact that we can develop with this, we are seeing all the advantages of that. But I think that the most important part of this, I think it's also to become like ambassadors, and have this mindset of understanding, of giving the spaces, with the stakeholders, to planning the process, to define the roadmap, to seeing what are the leaders that we have to involve in this, what is like all the phases that I have worked on. I think that there is the part when we define that like strategic mindset to think and also understands the importance of storytelling. But definitely it's something that it's also quite attached to the culture, of working, of also, and how we want to become more and more proactive. I think that it's something that we all have to work on, that we all have to put in. And of course, it's an ability that we have to also every time challenge. It's something that we do not have to settle. We have to try to improve us and put us all the time in a next level, not being conformist in the decisions and in the things. And with that, I think that we would have the chance to incorporate storytelling in the framework and also have this type of mindset in everything that we are doing, trying to make a mix between understanding business, understanding consumers, understanding technologies, because with all that mix up, we are gonna to develop the best strategy that we can.
Mm-hmm. And what is your opinion about data journalists having experience with machine learning and artificial intelligence?
Yes, so of course that I think that perhaps if we go there to the part of journalists and machine learning, they have been using a lot, mainly more in the infographic side of data. I think that they have a key role because they are the ones that are sharing stories, that they are for them the impact it's immediately. They have seconds. There's another type, not the same as we have in business. And of course it has a part of we can discuss that about A/B testing and also changing different type of the way they show the data and the information, because they also have the impact and the challenge of expressing an idea, expressing an mindset and an expression. So I think that there is something more careful to debate and to work on. I think that mainly they have been given that into the infographic side of data, but definitely that they're one of the ones that have the most challenge with that, because they are the ones that also express opinion and also carry on with very difficult topics and information there.
Okay, and we're going to ask one last question. So we know that and this is also comes from one of our live streams. We know that storytelling comes in different ways. Is there a specific pattern or recipe for an alarming situation? So I guess, is there a different way of expressing good news versus bad news?
Yes. I think that of course, and there are also it's one of the things why we also talk a lot about AI ethics and data ethics and information ethics, because we understand that we have the chance, I don't want to say manipulate, but our brain works on that way. So when you have to communicate some kind of information, there are some color palettes that you need to know that you have to use that. There are some like things that our brain perceive it in that way. So I think that yes, that there are things that we can use a little bit in the taking things to a good side or a bad side.
Mhm.
But there, I think at the last, it's always our professionalism and what we want to do, and trying to not put us as a way of like changing the data and the information we want to bring, and just to generate the impact that we want. But the reality is that it always comes to our ethics and what we want to expect from that, and our brain perceive the information and the colors and the tones and the narrative and the voices, if there's in a live presentation, that definitely it's going to change the way we perceive that information with storytelling.
Okay, and I lied. We're gonna have one more question. So what are some good resources where people can learn more about data storytelling?
Yes, so I think that I can share you later, but there are a lot of amazing books about storytelling. I have worked on Disney, so I have the chance to experience like storytelling it's in its best way. So I can definitely share a lot. I really enjoy a lot reading Medium in towards data science. There's a lot of very interesting analysis sharing all this information about the narrative, about the colors, about how the brain uses data to and storytelling to take decisions. Of course, I can share more about that. But we live in a I think in an incredible era, and we are all talking about storytelling. So there are like amazing resources out there. Of course, I can share you later. Of course, also my presentation and a list of check. I have done a checklist when I work with data storytelling, so I could also share to you that, so that you can have it there in your desk every time you make an analysis and make all the checklists if you have gone through that points.
That'd be great. All right, Camilla, thank you so much for being here with us today. We really appreciate having you. And thank you everyone for showing up today as well.